Talk now to our correspondent in London, Simon Pusey. He joins me from Green Park in London. Morning to you, Simon. This is both a logistic, but more importantly, security nightmare. Preparing for all these visiting dignitaries, while at the same time allowing the people to have a taste of this final farewell. What's it like?
Yeah, good morning, Laddie, here from Green Park, which is just to my left here. This is where lots of people have come to try and watch the funeral. It's a big viewing gallery here, but it's been full up for many hours now. And as you say, the security here is unprecedented. The Met Police Force say they've never seen anything like this in their history, and I don't think Britain really has seen anything like this before. It far surpasses the 2012 Olympics here, mainly because no one really knows what's going to happen with the Olympics. People knew which venues people would be going to at what times, but here you've just got millions of people converging in London. You've also got 500 heads of state, kings, queens, princes and prime ministers and presidents from around the world, all converging in London, all with massive security details. One thing that is a little bit different than usual when you have a state visit is that most leaders have their own security, have their own cars, have big convoys. This year, here today, they're going to have to all board buses and coaches, which a lot of presidents and prime ministers have been a bit unhappy about. Apart from one, that is Joe Biden. He's got the beast. He'll be travelling with his own security convoy. But yeah, 10,000 police officers in London. Lots of forces from across the country have been adding their officers to help. They're checking manhole covers. Every single manhole cover in Westminster is being checked for bombs and explosives. Every single lamppost, and you've got lots of marksmen on the roofs of London. So it's a huge operation here. We've got behind me a lot of marshals who are here voluntarily, unpaid, have come out to help out as well, just to try and shepherd these huge crowds, which are expected to be several million in strength. So absolutely massive, and so far seems to be going smoothly. We're an hour and a half away from the service itself, but the numbers keep growing. The stream of people keeps coming through. They're all being shepherded to Hyde Park, but yeah, we haven't seen anything like this in the country's history, I think, in terms of a security operation.
Now, you talked about 500, those 500 top dignitaries, princes, queens, prime ministers, presidents, and all that. Now, there's been quite a lot of buzz about who is in and who's out. In fact, just yesterday night, I was reading someone who said that is the hottest ticket on planet Earth at this time. You know, if you're there, then you're in. If you're not there, then you're out. So who's in, who's out? Do we know?
Yeah, we do. I mean, it's very rare that you get this many huge number of VIP people coming to one single event. I think the ones who are out can be fairly obvious. Vladimir Putin has not been invited. There was a little bit of controversy when the Saudi Prince bin Salman was invited. He's not attending, though. A lot of controversy around him and human rights issues. Also a bit of controversy.
All right, I understand that we can conclude our conversation with Simon, who's still in Green Park in London, about the Queen's funeral. Simon, you were talking about who's in and who's out, and you were on the Saudi Crown Prince. So who else do we know is in at the moment?
Yeah, so Jair Bolsonaro, he's in the middle of a presidential campaign. In 2 weeks' time, the election's going to take place in Brazil, but he's here, and pretty much anyone is here. You've got Emmanuel Macron and his wife, you've got Ursula von der Leyen, a lot of EU delegates have come as well, and you've pretty much everyone from around the world. Japanese president's here, and then you've got also, as you said, the Nigerian vice president is here, but pretty much anyone and everyone from the world of politics is here. A lot of people who have been knighted or given various honours by the Queen over the years, they'll be in attendance as well. Obviously, the devolved nations of the UK, so Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, all the government ministers from there will be here. And it's a huge security operation, as we said earlier. And it's really the fact that all of these people from around the world are coming is just really shows the status of the level of respect that the Queen has across the world. One of the first to arrive was the Australian Prime Minister, who came with quite a few people from the countries around Australia on the same flight. And it just really shows the kind of levels of respect that the Queen has had around the world, that all of these people have come in from the likes of Canada and Australia and America, but right around the globe. The ones that are missing are obviously Vladimir Putin of Russia and Prince bin Salman. The Myanmar military rulers have not been invited. So people who don't have the same diplomatic relations with the UK as maybe the friendlier states for the UK, such as America, France and Germany. Angela Merkel's here. Pretty much anyone and everyone, even people who have recently left their posts, but they had a relationship with the Queen like Angela Merkel did, have been invited. So it's unprecedented to have all of these people in one room, and it's a really big security operation, as we were describing earlier, and one that so far seems to be going smoothly. We're about an hour and 20 minutes away now from the funeral. Liz Truss, the Prime Minister here, has been meeting with quite a few of these presidents and Prime Ministers. Jacinda Ardern was there earlier this morning. But yeah, huge security operation, the likes of which we've never seen before. And like you say, so many VIPs, presidents and Prime Ministers. It really is unprecedented to have them all in one room at the same time.
All right, Simon, I must ask you, even though I understand that we do have live pictures of the preparations, so we'll be putting that on for our viewers, even as I ask you this. One group of people, there you go, those are the visuals from, I believe this is Westminster Abbey itself, which will be the venue for the funeral later on, as Simon was pointing out. But Simon, I must ask you about the presence of the media itself. I mean, you're there, but the world's media is also in London, and in spite of this security operation, they're trying to do their jobs just like you are and we are. How's that coming along?
Yeah, I mean, the royalty here, it's interesting being a British citizen. We don't really see it through the eyes of many other countries around the world, specifically America, really. It's a republic, of course, but they have a real fondness for our royalty, and especially the Queen. And I think you can also separate the Queen maybe from the other members of the royal family in terms of the amount of respect she's given. But yeah, the media have descended on this city like never before. And surrounding Buckingham Palace, you've got about 30 or 40 tents of all the big channels from around the world that have come. China is massively interested as well in the Queen. She had a relatively good relationship with Xi Jinping, who was given a state visit a couple of years ago. So it's just a massive operation, and I think for many members of the media, this is such a big story. This is the kind of thing that you want to be covering because it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. It's been 70 years that she's reigned for, and you know, we've been knowing that this, obviously, the Queen could pass away at any point for several decades now. The security operation in Whitehall here, they've been planning it for decades because it's so big. And I think so in terms of the media, I think everyone really wants to be covering the story. This is the only story in town, here in this country at least, and has been for the last 10 days since she sadly passed away. So yeah, huge levels of interest, and I'm not sure we're going to see a televised event that has more viewers than this one ever before. So that remains to be seen, but I think you're going to get a lot of people watching that funeral live there in Westminster, at Westminster Cathedral.
Indeed, Simon, I want to thank you, and I want to say that you're very lucky to be there in the midst of all this history, as you pointed out. But thank you. We will be coming back to you, of course, at the top of the next hour in the special program that we have on the Queen's, the coverage of the Queen's funeral starting at 10 o'clock here in Nigeria. And then, of course, from our London studios, where Juliana and then yourself in the field will be providing coverage of that event at Westminster Abbey. But for now, thank you, Simon. Thank you for being with us. Yes.